Hello students, today I am going to teach the topic software as a service, which is one of the cloud service models. So let's proceed with the concept software as a service as a SaaS. Cloud computing is a model that enables the end users to access the shared pool of resources such as compute, network, storage, database, and applications as on demand services without the need to buy or own it. And these services are provided and managed by service provider, reducing management effort from the end user side. The essential characteristics of cloud include on-demand service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, and major services. The National Institute of Standard and Technology, that is NIST, defines three basic service models, namely as a software as a service, which is shortly called as a SaaS, platform as a service, which is called as a PaaS, and infrastructure as a service, which is an IaaS. Then the NIST defines these three models in different manner. Let's talk about the SaaS first, software as a service. The three cloud service delivery model are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And the purpose of each model as the infrastructure as a service layers offers storage and compute resources that developers and IT organizations use to deliver custom business solutions. This is about the infrastructure as a service. Then, what about the PaaS? That is, the platform as a service layer offers development environment that IT organizations can use to create cloud-ready business applications. Also, the SaaS, that is, the software as a service layer, offers purpose to build business application. And these are the three models of the cloud services: SaaS, PaaS, and infrastructure as a service. In this SaaS, software as a service, as this defines that the ability given to the end user to access an application over the internet that is hosted and managed by service provider. Thus, the end user are exempted from managing or controlling an application, the development platform, and underlying infrastructure. Generally, SaaS services are hosted in service provider managed or service provider hosted cloud infrastructure. The end user can access the services from thin client or web browsers. Some of the popular SaaS providers include Salesforce.com, then Microsoft Office 365, Google applications, which applicable available as a Google Docs also. Now, as this SaaS changes the way the software is delivered to the customers. In the traditional software model, the software is delivered as license-based product that needs to be installed and the end user device, since SaaS is delivered as an on-demand service over the internet. So there is no need to install software to the end user devices. Also, SaaS services can access or disconnected at any time based on the end user's need. SaaS services can be accessed from any lightweight web browser on any device such as a laptop, tablets, and smartphone. Some of the SaaS services can be accessed from thin client that does not contain much storage space and cannot run much software like the traditional desktop PC. The important benefit of using the thin clients for the accessing the SaaS application are like it is a less vulnerable to attack, then it has a no longer life cycle, as well as it consumes less power, and main thing, it is a less expensive. Then a typical SaaS provider may provide business services, then social network, then document management, then mail services by the different ways. Now, the first implementation of a cloud services was a SaaS. Then business applications that are hosted by the provider and delivered as a service. In this SaaS, application service provider, that is ASPs, the ASP business grew up soon after the internet began to mushroom, with the some companies offer to security privately host applications. Now, hosting the applications like an CRM based application or a ERP based application. CRM is stand for customer relationship management and enterprise resource planning applications. That was particularly prominent, which is available on the cloud with the help of the SaaS. Although some ASPs, service providers, simply specified in a running email, so they are not going to use the any kind of SaaS application. They are going to send only email communication. However, the most successful vendors who those recognize that an application delivered as a service with a monthly fee based on number of users had to be easy to use and easy to stay. Now, how it is possible? Because SaaS provides business services. So most of the SaaS providers started providing variety of business services that attract startup companies. The business SaaS service include ERP-based application, CRM-based application, billing, sales-based application, and human resources. Also, SaaS providing social network-based application. Since social networking sites are extensively used by general public, many social networking service providers adopted by SaaS for their sustainability. Since number of users of the social networking sites is increasing exponentially. So cloud computing is the perfect match for handling the variable load. So it is also applicable for the social network. In terms of the document management, SaaS perform very much important role. So most of the enterprises extensively use electronic document. Most of the SaaS providers started providing service that are used to create, manage, and track electronic document. Here, as we are discussed here, although some ASP specified running the emails. So email services is one of the aspects of the SaaS application. Email services are currently used by many people. The future growth of email using is unpredictable. To handle the unpredictable number of users and the load on email services, most of the email providers started offering their services as a SaaS services. It's one of the things which you can definitely found in a SaaS. As there is examples of SaaS as a CRM, that is a customer relationship management based application. One of the topmost vendor in the market is a salesforce.com. So it's one of the most common categories of software as a service. So it's provided by the prominent vendor as a salesforce.com. Software delivery has gained so much traction with vendors and customers. The price of the software is on a per use basis and involve no upfront cost from the service provider. So that we can deal in terms of the SaaS characteristic, that is a one to many. So here I can see that SaaS service are delivered as one to many model, where a single instance of the application can be shared by multiple tenants or customers. Also, in addition, a business gains the flexibility to test new software on rental basis and then can continue the use and adapt the software if it proves suitable. That is, we can run this SaaS application or we can access these SaaS services with the help of the web, that we can say web access support. So SaaS services provided web access to the software. It allows the end user to access the application from any location if the device is connected to the internet. So far, as we learn the cloud computing in last session also, here internet connectivity is very much important if you want to access any of the cloud services, whether it's an SaaS, PaaS, or infrastructure as a service. Also, basically SaaS is famous for the centralized management. Let's talk about that one. See, SaaS services are hosted and managed from central location. Then management of SaaS application become easier. Normally, the SaaS providers will perform the automatic updates that ensure that each tenant is accessing the most recent version of the application without any user side update. So we can say here centralized management as well as centralized database is also possible in terms of the SaaS. Also, it's an multi-device support. So SaaS provides can be accessed from any end user device such as a desktop, laptop, tablets, smartphones, and any thin clients. Also, it's famous for the better scalability and availability. It's one of the best part of the SaaS services, as since most of the SaaS services leverage PaaS and infrastructure as a service for its development and deployment. It ensures a better scalability than the traditional software. The dynamic scaling of underlying cloud resources makes SaaS application work efficiently when even with varying the loads. As in terms of the availability, I'm saying that SaaS services ensure 99.99% availability of a user data, as proper backup and recovery mechanism are implemented at the backend. So whenever I'm subscribing for the any cloud application or cloud services, that time it is giving support as a 24/7 availability, that is a 99.9% availability for the accession of the data from their central database and all. Also it's supporting for the API integration. In this, SaaS services have the capability of integrating with other software. Also they are going to interact with another software. Then also or services that standard the APIs, which is used in number of times Android based application or smart based application or any kinds of web based application. As this is a SaaS infrastructure, this is a SaaS framework. So basically it's famous for the management and administration. So three layers are surrounded with an area called as a management and administration. So here that are, this is a where life in the cloud can get very complicated. It's simple enough to describe how to use some kind of cloud computing service, but you also have to integrate it into the IT operation of the organization, and that isn't necessary to simple things to do. Here as we discuss this different management and administration perspective, like a central management, web access, better scalability. So you can say that a cloud requires a self-service capability. It must be designed to manage not just provisioning customer requests, but also issues such as a workload management, security metering, monitoring, and billing services. These are also available in a SaaS. So everything is become transparent in this cloud computing services. In fact, performance monitoring will become increasingly important as companies rely more on third-party services. And from all indications, a typical company may use more than one cloud services provider. It may happen some companies going to use the Microsoft cloud services, some companies going to use the Amazon based, that is an AWS cloud services, some companies going to use the cloud based cloud services. So this varies from the companies to company as per their need and the usage. Then as per this management and administration perspective point of view, there are certain suitability of a SaaS. So SaaS is popular among individual and startup companies because of the benefit it provides. Most of the traditional software users are looking for SaaS versions of the software, such as a SaaS has several advantages over the traditional application. If I'm talking about these advantages, that is suitability, having the on-demand software. It's one of the suitability of the SaaS. So the licensing based software model requires buying full package software and increase the spending on buying software. Some of the occasionally used software does not give any ROI. Because of this, many end users are looking for a software that they can use as and when they need it. If the end users are looking for on-demand software rather than the licensing based full-term software, then SaaS model is the best option for such a end user as well as company. Here suitability in terms of the on-demand software. Also software for the startup companies, SaaS is also best for those are the startup companies, they want to start their own business and all. So here when using any traditional software, the end user should buy devices with minimum requirement specified by the software vendor. This increase the investment on buying hardware for startup companies, since SaaS services do not require high-end infrastructure for accessing. It is suitable option for startup companies that can reduce the initial expenditure on buying high-end hardware. No need to go with any specific high-end hardware to buy, and no need to buy with any specific infrastructure. Only they require the good internet connectivity, and they will require the laptop or different gadget. With the help of that, they can access. As a suitability point of view, can say that software compatible with multiple devices. If you are implementing or subscribing for the SaaS, that is a software as a service. Here, some of the applications like word processor or mail services need better accessibility from the different devices. The SaaS applications are adaptable with almost all the devices. It can be accessed from all these devices. Also, SaaS is famous for the software with a varying loads. So we cannot predict the load on popular applications such as a social networking site. The user may connect or disconnect from applications anytime. It is very difficult to handle varying load with the traditional infrastructure. With the dynamic scaling capabilities, SaaS applications can handle varying loads efficiently without disturbing the normal behavior of the application. So this is happening in terms of the suitability of the SaaS. So most of the traditional vendors move to the SaaS business as it is an emerging software delivery model that attracts end user. But still, many transactional applications do not have SaaS version. This implies that SaaS application may not be the best option for all types of software. The SaaS delivery model is not best option for the application mentioned in a different aspects like an real-time applications with a confidential data, and better and on-premise application. Now how it is possible? Yes, this is because of the few reasons like an if you a company may use one cloud provider for a platform such as a collaboration and completely different provider for a computing services. They may use another provider for the storage. As we're saying, how well does each cloud service perform? Then how are they performing together to support the business? Also, are the cloud services vendors adhering to governance rule that company is required to follow? If on to answers of this question, so firstly you must know the where this SaaS is not applicable. So in the real-time application, since in SaaS application depend on internet connectivity, it may not work better with low internet speed. If data are stored far away from the end user, the latency issues may delay the data retrieval timing. Real-time applications require fast processing of data that may not be possible with the SaaS applications because of the dependency on high-speed internet connectivity and latency issue. So anywhere those who are accessing the SaaS and all require the good internet connectivities and all these things. So applications with a confidential data, here also we can say SaaS is not mostly applicable, but data security, data governance, then data compliance are always issues with a SaaS application. Since data are stored with third party service provider, there is no surety that our data will be safe. If stored confidential data get lost, and it makes a serious loss of organization. It is not recommended to go for a SaaS application that handle confidential data. It's very much important because publicly there are a number of applications which public or general user is going to access. Also it's not given suggestion for the better on-premise application. So some of the on-premise applications might fulfill all the requirements of organization. In a such situation, migrating of the database to the SaaS model may not be the best option. So these are the three areas like in real-time applications with the confidential data, better on-premise application. We cannot suggest for the SaaS, but there are certain pros and cons for this SaaS. As we want to answer for this question, like and how well does each cloud service perform? As in terms of the pros, we can say SaaS applications are used by a wide range of individual and startup industries for its cost related benefit. Apart from that cost related benefit, as the how it should be beneficial or how it should be perform on any kind of platform, so no client side installation is required. Since SaaS service do not require client side installation of the software, the end user can access the services directly from the service provider data center without any installation. So there is no need of high-end hardware to consume SaaS services. It can be accessed from thin client and not any handheld devices, thus reducing the initial expenditure on buying high level or high-end hardware. Also, how are they performing together to support the business? Answer is a cost saving and less maintenance, as well as easy to access. As point of view of a cost saving, I say that since SaaS services follow the utility based billing or pay as you go billing, because every cloud based services, cloud service provider follow the pay as you go pattern. It demands the end user to pay for what they have used. Most of the SaaS providers offer different subscription plans to benefit different customers. Sometimes the generic SaaS services such as a word processor are given to free to the end user. It may happen number of times. Google Docs is also offering free of the Google Suite for their end user, because afterwards it is going to pay. So kind of that sometimes it is going to offer the free application. Because of that, it's an cost saving. Then less maintenance point of view, SaaS services eliminate the additional overhead of maintaining the software from the client side. For an example, in the traditional software, the end user is responsible for performing bulk updates, but in a SaaS, the service provider itself maintain the automatic update, monitoring, and other maintenance activities of the application. Here, as we discussed previously also, everything is going to transparent in this cloud computing and cloud services, as it becomes easy of access. So SaaS services can be accessed from any devices if it is connected to the internet. So internet is must for that. Accessibility of SaaS services is not restricted to any particular device. It is adaptable to the devices, and it uses responsible web user interface. It is going to capture, it is going to access on your laptop, your PC, your desktop, your smartphone, or any other gadget where internet connectivity is there. As next question is about the are the cloud services vendor adhering governance rules that the company is required to follow? Yes, it's famous for the dynamic scaling, disaster recovery, and multi latency. Okay, so here dynamic scaling, I can say that SaaS services are popularly known for elastic dynamic scaling. So it is very difficult for on-premise software to provide dynamic scaling capability, as it requires additional hardware. Since the SaaS services leverages elastic resources provided by the cloud computing, it can handle any type of varying loads without disturbing the normal behavior of the application. Because of that, it's famous for the dynamic scaling. Also, it is going to support in terms of the disaster recovery with proper backup and recovery mechanism, and replicas are maintained for every SaaS services. Those who are the SaaS provider, they definitely having the good business continuity plan with them. The replica are distributed across many servers. If any server fails, the end user can access the SaaS from the other servers. It's not like that they should be an idle, they need to wait for a certain time. No, it is going to transfer from the another server. So it eliminates the problem of single point of a failure. It also ensures the high availability of the application. That's why every cloud service provider, those who are present in a market, they are going to promise you that they are going to provide 24/7 support to their end user or to their organization who are going to subscribe their services. As the point comes on a multi latency, so say that multi tenancy is the ability given to the end user to share single instance of the application. Multi latency increases resource utilization from service provider side. So even though SaaS providers are used by many individual and startup industries, the adoption from large industries are very low. The major problem with the SaaS services is a security of the data, because publicly we are providing the access of such a data. All companies are worried about the security of their data that are hosted in the service provider data center. There are different major problems which present in terms of the SaaS services, like an security. Also we're having the connectivity requirements as well as loss of control. As we are discussing the security, what was the major issues in terms of the security in terms of the SaaS? So security is the major concern in migrating to the SaaS application, since the SaaS application is shared between many end users. There is a possibility of the data leakage, because it may happen this is not a general user, some users becomes a hacker, they are going to easily hack the database also. So here the data is stored in the service provider data center. We cannot simply trust some third party service provider to store our company sensitive and confidential data or information. So the end user should be careful while selecting the SaaS provider to avoid the unnecessary data loss. Again, there is a problem in terms of the connectivity requirements. As I'm saying, it requires the good internet connectivity. So SaaS applications require internet connectivity for accessing it. Sometimes the end user internet connectivity might be very slow. In such a situation, the user cannot access the services with a easy. The dependency on high speed internet connection is a major problem in a SaaS application. But nowadays, if you see, this problem is also going to resolve. Those who are the internet service provider, they are providing the minimum 2 or 3 mbps of speed for that, so that easily you can access the any SaaS based application. Then also there is a major issue in the SaaS is a loss of control. So the data stored in a third party and off premises location, the end user does not have any control over the data. So the degree of control over the SaaS application and data is lesser than the on-premise application. So there might be only three issues we can find it in this SaaS, that is in terms of security, in terms of the connectivity requirement, and the loss of control. But connectivity requirement also mostly solving issues. There is no problems with this connectivity requirements and all these things. So this is all in terms of the SaaS, and it's one of the services of the cloud computing, that is a software as a service. So finally, if you want to summarize this SaaS, that is a software as a service, so we can say that in terms of the cloud computing is a model that enables the end user to access the shared pool resources such as a compute, network, storage, database, application as on demand service without the need to buy or own it. So as per defined by the NIST, that is a National Institute of Standard and Technology, that is a SaaS. So ability given to the end user to access the application over the internet that is hosted and managed by the service provider. So this is all about the SaaS. Thank you.